Good morning, everybody. Welcome to my channel. Back from vacation, was in California. See, we had about some wild markets here. All right, 8:17 in the morning, August 3rd. Looks like we had a new week opening gap on those little peace talks that was supposed to be happening, but then Iran, it looks like they're saying there's no talks going on. Tech this morning is still relatively weak. You're getting weakness in semiconductors, memory stocks this morning. Okay. However, conversely, just the Mag 7 are up. So another disconnect this morning. Okay. We're just still have relative weakness, and the NASDAQ hit heavy supply in the overnight. And now trying to see if we can catch a bid in the NASDAQ. Okay. Big earnings week last week. This week we have Palantir, Caterpillar, McDonald's, AMD, SpaceX, Arista, Eli Lilly, Shopify, Uber, Walt Disney, SanDisk, Western Digital, AppLovin, Mercado Libre, ConocoPhillips, D-Wave, Datadog, Celsius. Just looking at them now here. Fiserv, DraftKings, Airbnb, Trade Desk, MP Materials, Oklo, Vistra Energy, Mendy's, Under Armour. That's basically the earnings this week. Okay. So this continues to be the story right now. You guys had a lot of tech was really smashed last week. Obviously, you had a big move up. Now, is that sustainable? I don't know. Okay, you were pretty much oversold tech, so that's what's going on. All right. Now, when I left you guys the Friday before, I had a nice trade. I had a long, and I was pretty much done for the day. So I left off on a good note. I can see this market is definitely tricky with the disconnect. Okay, with that disconnect. All right, without further ado, let's get into it. Welcome to my channel. My name is Steven Gonzalez. I use market profile and bond profile to find structure of the markets, along supply and demand. Gap exposure was the most traded price of the year, the month, the week, and the previous day. That is my edge for come up with my game plans. Now, once that market opens up, I use my market internals to let me know where money flows are going off the open, along with anchor view ops, a little ICT, my weekly expected move indicator for Thinkorswim that I give away for free on my Discord, along with gamma flip points, the monthly and the weekly gamma flip points I give away for free on my Discord as well. All right. Wrap all that up. I have my own proprietary trading system. Okay. Now, hopefully you join me every morning. Subscribe, set that alert. Okay. Give you the market story, the market news, technical analysis, and I always leave you with the long and short trade scenarios in the NASDAQ and the ES futures later on in the stream. Okay. Now, if you want more in-depth coverage, you're going to join my Discord. That's Confluence Trading. Go to my YouTube homepage, click on the link, and sign up. What are you waiting for? Let me be your indicator. Let me be your indicator. Okay. Let's check out futures watch list here. We are seeing the Dow. The Dow is up 1.10%. 30-year bonds are being bought. 30-year bonds are at highs. I believe they're at like over 5% yields. So people possibly taking advantage of that right now. Okay, Russell up 0.72, VIX up 0.56, ES up over 0.5%, silver's up 0.34, Nasdaq's up 0.18. Gold is flat. Dollar is down 0.17, Bitcoin down 0.63. 10-year yield down big time, down 1.18%. Mortgage rates are going to like that. Ethereum down 1.5%, and crude down 6.70%, under $80. $80 a barrel. We'll have to see if there's real talks going on or not. Okay, Mag 7 Plus here. Meta is getting love this morning. up almost 2%. Google up 1.86. Amazon up 1.81. Remember I told you about the Mag 7, right? Microsoft up 1.76%. Eli Lilly up 1.15%. Remember they report earnings on Wednesday. Netflix up almost a percent. Now, there's losers here. Caterpillar reports earnings this week, down 0.71. Broadcom down almost a percent. Nvidia down a percent. Coinbase down 1.27% after bad earnings. AMD down 2.20%. They report earnings this week as well. Intel down 2.25%, and Micron down 3.76%, under $800. Okay, I know there was a key pivot point I had on my charts, 864s. Okay, obviously psychological levels 800. It's below 800. Okay, moving on. Top sector stocks. Okay, looks like this morning the winners are software. Now that could change off the open, but let's see here. So Salesforce up 2.71%. Palantir, remember, reports earnings at the close today, up 2.29%. Oracle up 2.18%. Boeing up 1.86%. McDonald's reports earnings this week, up 1.65%. Walmart up 1.12%. PepsiCo up 1%. Okay. Visa up 1%. Who's lagging today? GE Vernova down 0.74%. Qualcomm down 0.79%. Chevron up down 0.106%, and Exxon down 1.27%. Sectors. The winner this morning is healthcare. Healthcare is winning this morning. Now, right now, Eli Lilly is up 1.15%. It's probably big time responsible for that. I'm trying to see if there's any, this before the open, that was a big healthcare stock this morning. I don't really see that. Okay, so healthcare up 1%. Let's see. Communications up 0.89 with Google Meta. Discretionary up 0.74. Financials up 0.63. Staples up 0.36. Utilities up 0.34. Basic materials up 0.26. Real estate. Now this is very interesting, right? All the sectors are up. Industrials up 0.13. Technologies down 0.18. And look, energy down 1.14. Does not move markets, but semiconductors are down 1.61%. Right? Usually when you get destroyed, you get some relief. You got the relief rally, right? Does that get taken away? I don't know. Right? Because you train the markets, right? Because if dips get bought and they hold, right? But right now, I feel like people, if they buy the dip and there's a little weakness, they might be trained to get out. That's yet to be seen, okay? That's yet to be seen. Now, right off the bat, I'm going to go to a watch list that I look at. Let's go to it. Let's see here. Boom. Okay. So, what am I seeing on this one little list I look at? Look at the word of love is today. Software. Up almost 2%. The Mag 7's up 1.14%. But look at what's down. SpaceX down 1.55%. Space stocks are down. DRAM down 2.76%. Bloom Energy down 3.63%. Look at Sky Hynix down 3.65%. And to round it out, SanDisk down 4.18%. So memory getting hit this morning. Okay. Moving on. Go back to my regular stuff here. Alrighty. Let's get right into the economic calendar. What do we have this week? Well, today we got ISM, PMI, and manufacturing PMI, manufacturing employment at 10 a.m. today. Okay. The rest of the week, 30-year mortgage, we have ISM on Wednesday. And Friday, non-farm payrolls, unemployment. Okay. Interesting that there's not Michigan consumer sentiment here. That's usually on the same day, but we'll move on. Okay. Now, what's the big news for this morning? U.S. stock futures tick higher as Trump touts Iran negotiations. Okay. Now it says future slightly extended gains during the Asian session, taking a positive lead in from gains in some regional tech and chip making stocks, but overall optimism was dulled by South Korea tumbling 5%. That is why your semis and memory stocks are down. Okay. So we'll have to see what transpires there. Okay. We're going to look at Trump's schedule. He signs an executive order 1:30 p.m. I hope to be done by then. Remember, today is Monday. All right. Let's look at the juice here. We do have manufacturing PMI at 9:45 as well. Okay. There's nothing more here that I want to talk about. Let's see here. Iran says no talks are underway with the United States after Trump calls off attacks. SpaceX first results plus Musk's AI spending under the Wall Street microscope. Tesla's European registrations uneven in July despite broader EV momentum. Let's see here. So let's see. Let's do a little before the bell here. Wall Street futures were slightly higher as hopes of peace deal in the Middle East weighed on crude prices, while investors braced for another week packed with earnings and economic data. On the results front, SpaceX is due to report its first earnings since its record-breaking IPO after the closing bell on Tuesday, while the non-farm payrolls figures for July will be on the economic calendar. Oil prices were down after U.S. President Donald Trump held off a fresh attack on Iran as he sought out a quick deal that would halt Tehran's nuclear ambitions and reopen the Strait of Hormuz. European shares were in the green after Trump said talks with Iran were expected later in the day. Japan's Nikkei share average fell 1 week high in the previous session, pressured by a rapid appreciation in the yen after Tokyo and Washington confirmed they had carried out a rare joint currency intervention late last week. Meanwhile, the yen rose for the Thursday session, keeping market participants on alert for further intervention. Weaker dollar pushed gold prices up. All right, let's see here if there's anything in the morning moving markets. Don't really see anything here. Let's do a trick. Let's go to some breath. All right, 28 simple moving average in the S&P, 53% or over that. That is very middling. Okay, 50%, 50%. 50-day moving average, 62% or over that. This market is not doing anything. Okay, S&P 500 wise, the market's not doing anything. All right, let's go to those bullish percent numbers. We'll look at the S&P 500 first. 63% on buy signals. Those breath readings are pretty close to these bullish percent indexes. NDX, I'm sure this is not looking great. Oh, I already talked about this last week. We were coming down into the 30% range. Every time you come here, you get a bounce. Guess what you got, guys? Bounce. Now you're middling, 50% on buy signals. Okay, we'll drill one step farther into the technology sector. That is at 49%, very close. They were 27% here. So when I left, I was almost gonna put a bull call spread on the QQQ. I didn't know it would go farther down. It probably would have worked out. All right. However, that's it here. Let's just look up real quick a couple of other ones. Like, let's see, healthcare is getting very overbought again. Okay, financials, that's staying overbought as well. So keep an eye on those. What else here? Let's see, communications. Communications getting a little oversold, and discretionary. Let's see. I think they had a nice week last week. They had a bounce. So give me 1 second, folks. All right, I'm back. All right, that's a scoop. Consumer discretionary is in the middle. Okay, let's just check out energy I'm just curious with energy here. Yeah, let's see here, 57%. All right, I'm just going around the horn here. Let's see staples. And we're at 63%. All right. I think we're okay there. Alrighty. It's a little breath fresh up here. All right, let's move on. Let's look at the market internals for last Friday. Let's see what you guys had on Friday here. Ooh, big divergence. Okay. What do I see on Friday? Tech was down from the open. The rest of the market was green, which was going to make that market pretty much not the easiest trade. All right, I'm assuming because you dropped. Obviously, you dropped off the open, right? Boom. So both market equal weight and market cap were weak, right? Hence why the fall happened. That makes very much sense to me. However, right? However, why is that frozen? Okay. The 5-day moving average here, that white line, you hit that 5-day moving average. And there's the bounce. Then you had market weight, market cap weight, and equal weight working together, but equal weight really diverted. Hence all the green and then the red in tech. Okay. That makes sense why you would have gotten a jolt and then just kind of ranged. Okay. That makes a lot of sense. That didn't seem like the overall market, this makes sense, was overly that weak at all. Okay. This makes a lot of sense to me. Okay. So probably not the easiest trade last week that I saw a lot of diversion. All right. We're going into daily charts now. Really, the market's still not really doing a whole lot in the S&P 500. Okay, it's just not. Okay, let's look at daily charts now. Okay, this is a mess. It's a mess. Okay, so you can see here, remember the oranges are always the previously week's highs and lows. The whites are the previous month's highs and lows. All you need to see is the whites. Look at that, 2 months in a row. You had pretty much equal highs and equal lows. Okay, the market's not doing anything. And then look at that. You close within inside the previous weeks. Okay, flat 50, flat 20. Okay, the market is really just not doing anything. In the S&P 500. Okay, where are we today? 750, 90s, 750, 90s. You are gapping up this morning. Okay, you're coming towards this trend line. Now, is this an area where we can break out? Possibly. Is this an area where you come back in and the market just continues to just not do anything? Okay, that's a big chance of that happening. Okay, let's look at futures. Okay, it looks like you took out that daily demand. Are we headed? Let's see, did you take out this daily supply? You did. Now, there's kind of another ugly daily supply right here that we're in. You have a daily supply here. Okay, so you can see we're holding last week's highs in futures. Okay, you had a new week opening gap. Okay, so you're above all of these levels. Can we rise? Sure. I don't think it's going to be easy. Okay, now, like I said, there is a daily supply zone here, so let's honor that. I don't want to be caught off guard. Okay, let's put that right where it's supposed to be. Boom. New daily supply. We are in that right now. This is ugly, folks. That's what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm saying. Daily supply stacked on top of the daily supply. Guess what? That doesn't make for a smooth ride up for the markets. Does not make it smooth. Okay, so I put them on my chart. I just know right now that I'm not expecting to rip, and as long as there's not news catalyst. Okay, moving on to the Qs. Remember, they are relatively weak. That chart does not look the same as the S&P 500 at all. Okay, right here it tells me a lot. Remember, I was saying equal highs, equal lows in the monthlies. Well, look, what did you do last month? Right, this would be July's lows. I'm sorry. This would be, yes, sorry. Oh, not yet, not yet, not yet. Okay, these would be June's lows. This would be May's lows. Okay, so obviously broke the previous month's lows, broke the previous, but guess what? You close back inside the previous week. You close back inside the previous month. Okay, that's a nice recovery. You came back, you hit the 100-day. You actually closed below the 100-day moving average, but back inside. Now, where are we this morning? 689. Now, remember, you're gapping up in the S&P. 689. You're right by the midpoint of Friday, so definitely weakness here. It's going to be whenever those markets are disconnected, you really got to pick your spots. Okay. Now, futures. Futures. You can see here. Let's get closer here. Nice move lower where you kind of made an equal low here. Now, looking to me an inverse head and shoulders pattern that you need to break the around the 287s. Okay, that could fuel a move higher. Now, you do have a daily supply right here, so let's not play around. Let's put that on the chart. Let's put that on the chart right there. And we will take this, put it right here because you want to have that on your chart. Daily supply right there. I want to make sure I have this on my chart. Okay. You have a declining 50-day. You have a declining 20-day. Okay. You don't have the same stuff going on in the ES. Okay. You're definitely in a downtrend. Just have to see if this is the launch point with that inverse head and shoulders pattern breaking into 287s, or we continue to break this and you have those equal lows down at 272s, let's call them. Okay. Now we're going to look at some hourlies. Here's hourly charts. Okay. So you had a pretty wild Friday and Thursday and Friday. Pretty wild. Okay. It looks like you broke this range to the downside in the ES, right? Recovered back into the range, right? Then had kind of like, oh, wait a minute. You ripped lower and then caught a bid into the close, right? And then opened up on Sunday with a gap up. With a gap up. Now, I failed to put this level on my chart. So let me do that now. This new week opening gap. So right here. That's right there. Let's put that on the chart. Alrighty. Now, you can see the ES. Ooh, it's catching a bid here. Okay, we just dropped here. It's just kind of garbagey, right? You're ranging. All right, you're ranging. Remember, we're in a new month. Okay, so not much. We're in heavy supply. There's the supply zones, right? Above last week's highs. All right, there's not much to say here. You can see you kind of holding above this balance range. So it is bullish. It's just like I said, I don't know how smooth the ride is going to be up. Let's look to the left to see how that price action actually looks. Yeah, you got supply here, but not the best. I wouldn't call this, ooh, this is really heavy here. Because you can rip up here a little bit. Okay, most traded price of the month, 75.90s. This is also a high volume node at 75.45s. So you might be able to get momentum. You might be able to go with the 75.90s. Okay, we'll have to see. All right, we'll have to see. Let's look at that NASDAQ. Here's our NASDAQ. Now, the NASDAQ truly has heavy supply. I mean, look to the left. Heavy supply. Came back in here, still couldn't break it, right? Created new supply. It's got a lot of work to do. Okay? A lot of work to do. A lot of work. All right? You even have an hourly supply right there. Put that on the chart. This does not look like an easy recovery here. It does not look like that is tough. That's tough sledding uphill for the NASDAQ up here. Because you had a nice move, right? Got some selling. New week opening gap, but the weakness came. So like I said, are we trained now, the memory stocks in particular, to, all right, you know what? Let's get out. I bought the dip and we'll take our profits. I don't know. Okay, let's see. All right, that's the hourly charts. Now we're going to go into the market profile, volume profile. And we'll get into some scenarios here. Alrighty. This is your market profile and your volume profile. Let me get my, oh, did I not even use a marker? I didn't. Hold on a second. Definitely less volume right now in this market. You could definitely see the range here. Okay. So first thing, we got a gap, right? So the first thing you're going to mark off in a gap is the gap fill, right? That's 75.41. Okay. Second is the 50% retracement of the session on Friday, which is 74.84. And then we're going to do the 50% retracement of the overnight, 75.55s. Okay, we are in supply. We are at a prior weekly high. Not last week's, but the prior, right? We are in supply. Now, remember I said it looks like we could make a move because you do have a pocket of volume here up to the most traded price of the month, 75.90s. Okay, 75.90s. Okay, we do have that new week opening gap here. Okay, so like I said, right now this looks bullish. You got a very balanced profile in the overnight. Does tech, specifically memory and semis, catch a bit off the open? If they do, this can push the ES up to that 75.90. Okay, so with that being said, we are going to get right into scenarios in the ES. We have a gap up. Okay. So let's get into it. We're going to start off with longs. Okay. So I don't like longing in supply. It just usually doesn't go well. You could do it off the open, right? But it's generally a low probability move. So what would I like to see? Right now, there's a level here around the 75.55s. Let's say we push up, we can't do anything, we pull back. This is the week to date, month to date anchor view up, which is new. What happens to be also the most traded price of the overnight, the 75.55s. If you pull back to that and you get support, look for a long. Okay, you go long. Okay, you go long, and you're going to target the 75.90s. Okay, now if you pull back right to the 75.45 area to the gap fill 75.41s, happens to be last week's highs, right? And you get support in new week opening gap. Boom, boom. You go long, also target the 75.90s. Okay. That's what I'm looking for on longs. Okay. Shorts. Okay. Shorts. Now you are in supply. Now, as far as this goes, when you're gapping up like this with the divergence, these are not easy trades, okay? Especially when you have a disconnect from the NASDAQ. All right. Can it work? Yes. All right. So what I would say is this. If you try to move up, break the overnight high, right? Sweep it, close back inside the overnight range with a lower high, I would say this. This would be an okay short. I'm not preferring it, but it definitely is a scenario. And well, guess what? You target the gap fill, 75.41. Then you can target that new week opening gap, which is around the ends of the 75.30s. Okay, that's one. One other one that I would say, what I would be a little more confident, is if we came back under the 75.45s, back into last week's range, right? Then you fill that new week opening gap, but then you retest last week's highs, Friday's highs, 75.41, and let's say the market is not strong. Well then, and if let's say there's outflows coming out of tech, I will go short. You're going to target right here the 50% retracement of Friday, which is 74.84. Then go to the most traded price of the week around the 74.70s. Okay, that is your ES. All right, I'm gonna have to do a quicker one, and the Nasdaq. I got to take my daughter to a camp. Okay, definitely a tale of two different markets here. Okay, so we're gonna get right into these scenarios in the Nasdaq here. Heavy supply overhead. That's gonna be a very tough road above. Okay, very, very tough. Right now, off the bat, easier shorts Nasdaq, easier longs ES, but that could change off the open. Okay, we're inside the prior day's range. Okay, let's break out the session. Okay, let's break out the session. Just notice we just came down to Friday's close and the 50% retracement of Friday when we're catching a bid. However, though, remember the ES is gapping up, right? It's not easy. Not easy at all. Okay, just looks to me the easier road here is a short. Okay, not going to be easy with the disconnect. I keep saying that. Okay, so let's get right into it. I'm going to start with shorts. Okay, right now, you're like I said, you're at the most traded price of Friday, and you're just in this heavy supply. So if there is a bounce, which I probably think there might be, you do have the week to date and month to date anchor view up to 28570s. Let's see if you go into all this heavy supply, right around the 50% retracement of the overnights. If you get any resistance there, boom, with a lower high, I would say try to go short. You target the overnight lows and then see if you can go all the way down to the most traded price of the week around the 281.5s. There is demand here from Friday's lows. Okay, I would say you got heavy supply. Let's call it from around 285s all the way up to the 287 and 60s. Pretty much any resistance, I would say, in that area is probably primed for a short at some point. Okay, so just watch that area. Watch that area. Okay, now I'm going to switch to a long, and I don't really like longs here, being honest with you. I don't like it. Okay. So what I would say here, okay? So now, of course, if we just take out, open up and push down, take out the overnight lows, but look, you're at the 50% retracement of Friday session, the close. If you recover and you cross above those 28440s, the most traded price of Fridays, and hold it, that could be a nice long. I would say target the 286s. If you could target the 286s and try to come through this heavy supply, go to the overnight highs, 28698s, and then Friday's highs, 28725s. Okay, now if this market all out assault sells off, opens up, pushes all the way down into this supply, hits the 28177s, you hold in here, okay, put in a higher low. I'd really like to stay above the 282s. You could possibly try to go long here. All right. Maybe go back up into the 285s. Okay. Now, this would have to happen quickly, and I want to see tech not that weak. Okay. But I'm not loving longs in the NASDAQ. All right. And that's it for scenarios for me today. Okay. Let's do a quick recap of what I'm seeing. ES is relatively stronger, gapping up, looks bullish. Looks like it might want 75.90s. Remember, there's also a high volume node at 75.45s. We were in between those two levels, so that you could ping pong in between them. Okay, so that's just relatively stronger. The NASDAQ is in heavy supply above. It's going to have a hard road to go higher, right? I'm saying the shorts are probably easier there. It just makes this market hard. Okay, you did go down to the 50% retracement. You're getting support now. Let's just see what happens. You really need to see if flows go into tech off the open, right? So that is it for me. Smash the like button if you enjoyed that analysis. Be much appreciated. Okay, and as always, you can join me every morning. Okay, I give you the market news, the economic calendar, technical analysis, and I just gave you the long and short trade scenarios in the ES and the NASDAQ futures. Okay, please subscribe to that alert. All right, now if you want more in-depth coverage, you're going to join my Discord. That's Confluence Trading. Go to my YouTube homepage, click on the link, and sign up. What are you waiting for? Let me be your indicator. Now we have our plan. I should be going live around 9:45 a.m. this morning. Please come join me in the Discord. If I don't see you in the Discord, okay, I'll see everybody tomorrow morning. Remember, no trade's a trade. Everybody has a great day. I'll see everybody